Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome, dear viewers. The devotion of Lady Zainab to the cause of Islam, sacrificing her sons. Many people today who claim to be Muslims are the first to proclaim their Islam openly, yet also, and rather sadly, the last to sacrifice anything meaningful when the time is necessary, be it money, their time, their services, or their dedication. We find that such an attitude is often one which is and has proven to be the biggest sole cause of stagnation within the Muslim world, and even has often been what has resulted in the death and tragic martyrdom of numerous figures from amongst Ahlul Bayt. Lady Zainab, on the other hand, was raised in the household of revelation and was consistently reared by the most devout of parents. She would inhale the fragrance of a wilayah as a child and was under the shadow and protection of the imamate of her brothers Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein, peace be upon them. As a result, she was raised and taught that her life was all leading to one event and one event alone: the survival of Islam on the day of Ashura. What this all led to was her willingness to offer her sons in defense of her Imam al-Hussein, and herself as the one who would carry the reign of Wilayah in assisting Imam al-Sajjad and acting as his backbone after Karbala. The Maqtal narrative of the tragic events of Karbala narrates, on the day of Ashura, Lady Zainab cleansed Aun and Muhammad, applied collyrium to their eyes and dressed them in a new garments. Then she handed them their swords and presented them to her brother, the Imam, for permission to go into battle. The Imam refused her, saying, "Abdullah, your husband, may not agree to this." Zainab replied, "But he is the one who instructed me that in case of war, I should give his sons before yours." Lady Zainab insisted until the Imam reluctantly gave permission. When Umar ibn Sa'd saw the two children riding into battle, he exclaimed in astonishment, "What love Zainab must have for her brother to have sent the lights of her eyes to the battlefield." The two children fought until Muhammad was struck down. Aun came to his dying brother. Taking him into his lap, he said, "O brother, do not grieve. I too will soon follow." Aun continued to fight until he too was struck down and departed to the eternal abode, weeping and overcome by grief. The Imam went to the two children. He carried them away with their bodies in his arms, their feet dragging on the ground. When the bodies of the martyrs were brought to the tents, the women, preceded by Lady Zainab, would come out of the tents to lament the dead. However, this time, when the bodies of her own children were being brought, she was not to be seen. The reason for this may have been that she did not wish to cry for her sons and weaken the resolve of her brother, the Imam, in fighting with the enemy. Alternatively, she may have thought that her weeping for her sons might cause the Imam the embarrassment of thinking that he was the reason for their death. Such was the lofty character of the daughter of Lady Fatima, peace be upon her. Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome, dear viewers. The sharpness and eloquence of her father, mother and grandfather, peace be upon them. The day after the tragedy of Atwi, the members of Ahl al-Bayt were made to leave en route to Kufa in order that they be presented to Ibn Ziyad. Among the prisoners were Zainab, her sister Kulthum, other women of the Bani Hashim, Imam Zain al-Abidin, 3 young sons of Imam Hassan, and other daughters of Imam Hussein. When on their way, they reached the battlefield. A heart-rending sight met their eyes. The bodies of the martyrs lay naked on the burning sand, covered with dust and blood. The enemy had not buried them, although they had buried their own dead. Seeing the scene of carnage, Imam al-Sajjad was so affected that he appeared to be on the verge of death himself. Noticing his state, Zainab said to him, "O you who are a reminder of my grandfather and father, what has happened to you? For I see that you are about to lose your life." The scholars and historians of Ahl al-Bayt have said it is as if Zainab was acting like a temporary wakil of the Imam till Imam al-Sajjad regained his strength. He replied, "Dear aunt, how can I be otherwise when I see that the bodies of my father, uncle, brothers and cousins are lying on the ground, neglected, while their clothes has been removed, and there is no arrangement for shrouding and burying them." Zainab then also openly lamented the murder of her beloved brother and their imprisonment. Umar ibn Sa'd had entrusted the severed heads of Hussein, his sons and other martyrs to different tribal chiefs, so that on the way people would see that various tribes had been taken in the battle, and none would dare to interrupt their march. The captives were made to ride on camels without saddles, their faces unveiled for all the world to see, while ahead of them their captors gleefully carried the chopped off heads of their loved ones, impaled on spears. Kufa was then regarded as the principal city of Islam. Ali had made it his capital during his caliphate, and here Zainab and Kulthum had once lived, respected and loved. Now they came to the city of their memories as captives, as prisoners, devoid of respect, devoid of veneration they were once given. At night, when they arrived at the city and the castle of Ibn Ziyad was shot, so they were made to camp outside. When he was informed of their arrival the next day, he ordered a great function to take place, to which all would be invited without distinction. The head of Imam Hussein, peace be upon him, was to be placed on a gold tray near the court chair, and the heads of the other martyrs were also to be displaced. The people of Kufa were told that some tribe had committed aggression against the Muslims, but the Muslims had secured victory, and because of this, there was to be a celebration. Festively dressed and in anticipation of joyful celebrations, the people poured into the streets and marketplace, and the music of victory was heard as the captives arrived. But there were a few who guessed the truth, and they looked on with downcast eyes. One woman, on recognizing Zainab and her retinue of unveiled women, ran into her house and brought them all head covers and sheets with which to cover their bodies. But they were not allowed to preserve their modesty, and the enemy guards snatched them away. When Zainab saw some of the men and women who had realized what had really happened, weeping and wailing, she bade them to quiet and spoke to them with piercing eloquence and insight. "Praise be to Allah, and blessings be on my grandfather Muhammad and his purified and chosen progeny. So now, O people who deceive, forsake and contrive, it is you who weep. May Allah not stop your tears, and may your chest burn incessantly with the fire of grief and sorrow. Your example is that of a woman who assiduously prepares a strong rope and then untwines it herself, wasting her own hard labor. You swear such false oaths which bear no truthfulness at all. Beware that you have nothing except vain talk, false pride, mischief, malice, evil, rancor, falsehood, and sycophancy. Beware that your position is that of slave, maids, and poor chaste girls, who are but the meanest beings. Your hearts are full of enmity and rancor. You are like the vegetation that grows on filthy soil and is yet green, or like the mortar applied onto graves. You should know that you have perpetrated a very morbid deed and that have prepared evil provision for your next life, because of which Allah's anger is against you and His wrath would fall upon you. Now you are crying aloud and wailing over my brother. Yes, cry, because it behoves you to cry. Yes, weep profusely and laugh less, because you have earned the shame of killing the Imam of the age. The stain of his blood is now on your clothes, and you cannot remove it, nor you can secure acquittal from the charge of killing the son of the last prophet of Allah, the chief of the youth in paradise. You have killed a person who was your support, the knower of the Sunnah and the ultimate arbitrator at the time of your mutual disputations. He was the basis of your talks and actions. He was your place of refuge in the event of hardship. Know that you have been guilty of the most heinous crime in the world and have prepared the worst provision for the day of judgment. Curses be upon you, and may destruction overtake you. Your efforts have gone wasted, and have you been ruined. You have been transacted a losing trade. You have become the victim of Allah's wrath and have fallen into ignominy and degradation. O people of Kufa, woe upon you. Do you realize which piece of Muhammad's heart you have severed, which pledge you have broken, whose blood you have shed, and whose honor you have discredited? You have certainly committed such a crime, because of which the sky may fall down on the earth may crack and mountains crumble to pieces. By killing your Imam, you have committed a singularly evil act of rebellious behavior and heedlessness towards dignity. In view of all these acts, would you wonder if blood should rain down from the sky? In any case, you should mind that the chastisement of this next world will be severe. At that juncture, there will be no one to help you. Do not regard the time and opportunity given you by Allah as small and unimportant, and do not be satisfied with it, because if Allah is not quick in acting, it does not imply that He is unable. For Him there is no fear that the time of vengeance is passing away. Allah is certainly keeping watch over you. People wept, putting their fingers in their mouth and biting them, without appealing.